In sports, timing is everything. It's not what you do, but when you do it, as all games, situations, and moments are not created equal. The greatest of the greats are at their greatest when the stakes are at the highest. The NFL is no different, and Joe Montana served as the golden standard in the National Football League for nearly 20 years. Following his retirement after the 1994 season, it wasn't because of gaudy statistics, as Marino and Elway were far more prolific in his own era. And Montana, to this day, is only a modest 22nd on the all-time passing yards list, behind players like Carson Palmer, Vinny Testaverde, and Drew Bledsoe, while Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson,
Broncos country, let's ride,
and Eli Manning all have more touchdown passes. Yet for over 2 decades, Montana held the cherished title of GOAT. That is, until Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. came along and relieved him of that title. This is despite Peyton Manning being the more prolific passer in his concurrent era. But in money time, no one in NFL history was better than Brady. And as Peyton Manning was busy stacking MVPs during Brady's era, while Brady was hoisting Lombardis, there was another prolific passing maestro with unmatched physical tools and a penchant for stacking league MVPs that surfaced in the back end of the Brady era. Aaron Rodgers, when he's not busy tripping his balls off on psychedelics.
Ayahuasca is usually described as a grandmother spirit, and I met her and walked with her through past, present, and future lives.
Rodgers has been one of the most efficient and elite passers ever, as he currently boasts the second highest QB rating in NFL history at 103.6. And while he does dip slightly in the postseason for his career, down to 100.1, that is still good for the 5th highest playoff passer rating ever. But Rodgers has not been able to parlay all of that individual mastery into team success, as Rodgers, who currently sits 5th all-time in passing touchdown with 4 league MVPs, has a record of just 12-10 in his playoff career and has appeared in only 1 Super Bowl in his 15 seasons as a starter. And that 1 Super Bowl was all of a sudden 13 years ago. But Rodgers' playoff failures, if you want to categorize it as that, are not the typical playoff choke jobs we have seen perpetrated by other high-profile choke artists. Sure, there was the recent heinous and reprehensible 13-10 ayahuasca vomit sesh against the San Francisco 49ers at home as the league MVP. But even factoring in that 13-10 loss, the average score by Aaron Rodgers' opponents in his playoff career for his 10 career losses is 31 points per game. The defenses throughout his career did not do him any favors. While Rodgers did throw only 20 touchdowns in those 10 losses as compared to 10 interceptions, which is a stark decline in his career touchdown to interception ratio, which is 4.52, best in NFL history. The point is, Rodgers was not costing his teams these games. His defenses, along with the assortment of village idiot coaching staffs,
what an idiot,
were eating a far larger portion of the blame pie than Rodgers during these playoff losses. But all of that figures to be changing now that Rodgers makes his way to the Big Apple. Well, the verdict is still out on head coach Robert Saleh, but the defense for Rodgers is elite in New York, as they finished as the 5th ranked total defense in the NFL last season and were 4th in points per game allowed at only 18.5 per game. And the Jets somehow won 7 games last season while playing a combination of Zach Wilson, the remains of Joe Flacco, Mike White, and Chris Streveler at quarterback.
Who?
dumping Aaron Rodgers into the mix of this team with an ascending group of young talent on offense, led by Garrett Wilson, who was the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year last season, seems like a can't-miss proposition. The division is certainly not doing him any favors, nor is the conference as a whole. But we have seen a trend in recent years of older quarterbacks changing teams and experiencing immediate success. As Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford in back-to-back seasons both won Super Bowls in their first year on a new team following extended tenures with a different organization. Perhaps the change of venue is exactly what Aaron Rodgers needs. While Rodgers did seem to make a drastic decline a season ago, his final in Green Bay, and his 3,695 passing yards, along with his 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, do signal a sharp drop-off from previous years. He is just one season removed from back-to-back league MVPs in 2 seasons where he led the league in passer rating, QBR, and touchdown percentage. Aaron Rodgers, in a revenge season with possibly the best team he's ever had, seems like a perfect equation for a scorched earth season, though it does remain to be seen what exactly Rodgers has left in his tank, if anything. But it is obvious that his resume needs something else. He doesn't need another league MVP award or to lead the NFL in passing yards or touchdowns. He needs to show us at least one more time, to remind us that when the stakes are at their highest, he can still be at his greatest. After all, it is those moments that really matter at the end of the day, the ones that truly write the book of a player's legacy, and for better or worse, that will be the way that history remembers them.